Well, let's get into another highly contested shootout type game. Really has some big time AFC implications here. The Chargers are going into Baltimore, a battle of 4-1 teams. The Ravens at the moment are a 3-point favorite. The Chargers, like I mentioned, they had a crazy one against the Browns in SoFi, back and forth. I think it was 47-42. Lots of points to the board. Justin Herbert had his best game of the season, 4 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground. Absolute stud. Again, giving Miami Dolphins fans nightmares for years to come. The Ravens, on the other hand, Monday Night Football, they were down big against the Colts, but Lamar Jackson had his most impressive day of the year with 440 passing yards, an insane completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, and I believe he chipped in 62 rushing yards on the ground. Just an all-world performance. So you have 2 quarterbacks who are coming into this game extremely hot or coming off their hottest performance yet. And I have been so discombobulated as far as picking Chargers games. I think I've been wrong about them, pretty much as wrong as you've been on Seahawks games this year. So I'm very concerned about where I go with this one. Kyle, can you go first on this? I just need to know where I'm going. I got to think about this one a little.
I can go first on this one, and I'm interested to see if this is a ploy to pick against me in this one. But I like the Baltimore Ravens to win this
Chargers. You got my evil strategy.
Yes, I called your bluff on that one. So I actually had both helmets here just in case. I didn't make this one as like a strategic pick beforehand, but I was going to pick the Baltimore Ravens through and through because not only did Lamar Jackson, when his team was down 22-3 against the Colts, have 360 passing yards and 4 touchdowns in the second half in overtime, he did it completing 91% of his passes. 91%. It's unbelievable how great Lamar Jackson played in that game. You mentioned this is going to be a huge offensive firepower type of game, but both teams have very good defenses. I will give the credit where credit is due. The Chargers have drafted surprisingly very well in the draft. And I say surprisingly just because of the torment I've had around the Chargers for 20 years, but the Chargers have done very well for themselves in the second and third days of the draft as of recently. Nasir Adderley, great pickup for them. Asante Samuel Jr. looks fantastic on the defensive side of the ball. They used a bunch of picks to move up and get Kenneth Murray in 2020. He looks to be a very good inside linebacker for the Chargers. They have built out a solid defense around obviously a top 5 offense led by a franchise quarterback for the next 15 years that we talked about the Dolphins earlier with Tua. Every single game haunts Dolphins fans more and more, even though they knew they were going to take Tua all the way through and through. Just watching Justin Herbert is such a gift. It's unbelievable. The Chargers scored 26 points in the fourth quarter against the Cleveland Browns. That's unbelievable. Those 2 teams produced the 2 best games of the weekend. I'm so glad that they're playing each other. It's the rare game where both teams are set up for a letdown, but they're playing each other in the same week. Does that mean that the letdowns will cancel each other out, or are we going to have one of these like 17-10 slugfests like we had between the 49ers and the Cardinals last weekend? I don't know, but I'm excited to figure it out. So I will take the Baltimore Ravens because as great as the Chargers defense is, it's going to be very hard to contain Lamar Jackson because he can beat you in so many different ways. And I will throw out a score prediction. I don't do this very often, but I will say Baltimore 31, Los Angeles 24. That is my pick.
I think I am going to stick with the Chargers. I was kind of like, maybe I should renege and go back to the Baltimore Ravens, but no, I think I will stick with the Chargers. Now, normally the thing I've said about them the last couple of weeks, and it did hold true against the Cleveland Browns because Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb both had great days. Their run defense hasn't been able to stop anyone this year, hasn't been able to stop a nosebleed. So going against a team with a great running scheme like the Baltimore Ravens, you think would cause some issues for them. But then I remember that the Ravens aren't exactly throwing out premier running backs at this point. They're throwing out Devontae Freeman, Latavius Murray,
the 2015
Tyson Williams is out there.
I love it. Yes.
I think their best running attack is Lamar Jackson. Now, with that said, the personnel grouping even though I know the coaching staff has changed a lot in Baltimore, I think the personnel for the Chargers has always been one that's lined up very well against Lamar in the past. And I think when you have guys like Joey Bosa, who could give problems off the edge, put a lot of pressure on Lamar, I think the Chargers defense in this instance will have one of their best days. And I think this could actually be a low scoring game. I think I'm going to match you. I'm going to say a score prediction here. I'm going to say Chargers 24, Ravens 21. I think it's going to be a little bit on the lower side. I don't think either team's going to escape the 20s. I might be dangerously wrong on that one, but that's why we're here. We're here to be made the fools sometimes.
It looks like we both feel the same way about the Ravens defense, considering that the Chargers scored 24 points in both of our predictions. So we feel about the same there.
That is true. I think the Ravens defense, I don't know truly what to make of them. They have been beat several times this year, have looked bad several times this year. They've maintained. They're one of those bend, don't break kind of defenses more than anything. It's going to be a lower scoring game than people are thinking, especially you mentioned two teams coming off a hot one. I think another advantage that potentially could work in advantage for the Chargers here is that, we're moving later in the season. So these morning start time games become less of an issue. And also, the Ravens are coming off a short week too. So playing on Monday night, coming off a short week. So there's a couple factors there. And I'll give Justin Herbert the benefit of the doubt. The kid's just amazing. I mean, Lamar's amazing too. This is a good one. This is one I'm glad that we have on our pick 'em pool. And I could be wrong here and be satisfied walking away with it because I think that we'll still have a good game nonetheless.